Everyone, today we're going to learn to master the IELTS listening. Section 3, Section 4, okay? But what does that mean? Listening Section 3 and Section 4 are more academic. Number 3, Section 3, it is basically a conversation between the students and the tutor. And Section 4 is it's just one speaker. It's a monologue, one person, okay? Like a university lecture, okay? And here's the cold, hard truth. The one who understands everything doesn't win. The winner is the one who understands that IELTS wants to trick you when you're marking, okay? Shall we start? Let's go. Section 3 and 4, prepositions. The answer comes right after. Let's take a look at the prepositions here, okay? Let's take advantage of that 1 minute to make a prediction. It's very important to make predictions. So you will get a lot more correct answers. That 1 minute is for that. So be sure to use it, okay? I make a point of telling my students that this 1 minute is precious. Guys, let's use it, okay? First technique, prepositions are arrows pointing to the answer. When you hear on, at, by, before, about, you wake up, no drama. For example, the meeting is scheduled on, we'll know it's a day of the week, or even a day of the month, it could be, okay? Look there, the assignment is due before Friday, okay? This here is a deadline. It can also be another day, a day of the month. It can be a time too. The event starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is 10 a.m. See, here it's a time, definitely, okay? But it could also be starts at room 1. Could it? Of course it could. He arrived by train. See? So here the answer would be a means of transport. The lecture was about climate change. Here it's clear. The answer after about would simply be a title of a lecture, whatever it may be. So the general rule of thumb is that whenever you hear the preposition in a sentence, you should get your pen ready, because the next part that comes after it is very likely to be the answer you are looking for. Let's paraphrase. They don't repeat the word from the question. They don't repeat the word from the question. Now, the second technique is IELTS loves synonyms. You look for advantage, and it might appear as benefits. You look for disadvantage, and you get drawbacks. You look for important, and you get crucial. And here, look, commence, required. Approximately, nearly, vacant, empty. Compulsory, stop, enhance, improve. You see? So when you hear the exact word, don't panic. Look for the equivalent idea. Okay? The secret is you don't listen for words, you listen for meanings. Got it? Let's move on to the next one, okay? Next, we're going to talk about numbers, dates, and percentages. IELTS tries to hypnotize you. Now, the part that trips up good people, numbers and dates. Look at these examples here. 450.55 per night, July 10th, 347819, 20%. Here you need two things: clarity and self-control. Golden rule. When the speaker corrects themselves, the last number is the right one. Like, it's on Tuesday. Sorry, I mean Thursday. I'm sorry. And why is this so common? Because IELTS wants you to take the first number and emotionally give up on the test. Okay? So don't forget. The last number in the correction is always the right number of phrases that deliver answers. Okay? These for section 3 and 4 are ready-made phrases for this section. Let's take a look. Look here. That usually bring the key information. Look here. The departure gate is number, then there will be the number. The museum opens from, then it will be there. Your booking reference is the lecture begins at 9:30 sharp. You see? There, exactly the time. Please submit your application by December. Here's a deadline, 1st, December 1st. Okay? When you hear this type of phrase, think, okay, here comes a direct piece of information that becomes the answer. Distractions and self-corrections are tricks, okay? They are the most classic tricks in the IELTS. Now, the IELTS's favorite trick, it gives you a piece of information and then changes it. For example, Thursday, or a phone number, 5468929. Oh, no, wait, it's 5468927. You just need to remember the final correction is worth more than the first version. Word formation is very important, okay? And let's take a look here. Grammar is in charge of you in the listening section as well. He works as a teacher. See here? We already know that here it's teacher, right? And if an a or an or the appears, that is an article, what do you expect? Of course, it's a noun. So you already prepare your brain for the right format. Okay? Look there. The museum has many. Here comes a countable word because there's a many here. See, exhibits. You need a registration form, okay? Not register, not several nouns will appear in your head, but it's registration that you have to use. Because here there's an article, okay? And here, see, it comes with the verb to be. The weather is sunny today. Of course it is. Of course it's an adjective. Why? Because there's a verb to be here, see, right? And an adjective by itself, only with the verb to be. We need a decision by Friday. Look there, it's decision because everything that ends in ation, registration, decision, okay? It's a noun. Don't forget that, okay? And there's an article there, right? Obviously, if there's an article, it's going to be a noun, okay? Let's go to the next one. So don't forget that the endings ion, meant, it, ness, and ship are very important, okay? It's usually a noun, it's a noun, okay? Emphasis. It's very important when the lecturer, the professor, he speaks, sometimes shouts, or gives an answer, or the answer gives the answer by shouting. He gives a clear emphasis. He puts stress on the word. For example, the exam will be on Friday, not Monday. Of course, the answer will be Friday. So keep an eye on the emphasis, on the shouts, okay? On the louder words, always keep an eye out. Sometimes it's very theatrical, and we love it because being theatrical helps you get it right, right? Words that are stressed or spoken louder contain the correct answer. So pay attention to this tip, okay? Now we're going to start looking at these little exercises here that are very interesting for sections 3 and 4. Let's focus on the preposition. Look, if it's at in sections 3 and 4, it could be a time, it could be a location. The lecture is at 2 p.m. If it's on, it could be a date, it could be a topic. The seminar is, look at this one. The seminar is on climate change. It can be a topic, yes. If it's a by, it's a deadline, definitely. The assignments must be submitted by Friday. About can be a subject. The talk is about renewable energy. Okay? So the tip is the moment you hear a preposition, start paying close attention because the answer comes right after. Okay? Now look at the paraphrases. How cool is that? In section 3, usually the conversations are between students and professors, right? So the question might be like this: what are the disadvantages of online learning? Then you have to pay attention to the paraphrase, okay? The answer would be one drawback of virtual education is, so instead of disadvantage, it would be drawback. Pay close attention. And as I said, as I mentioned at the beginning, advantage, benefit, strength, positive aspects, disadvantage, drawbacks, weaknesses, limitation, important, essential, significant, crucial, and so on. Train your ear for these synonyms. Be careful with the numbers, the dates, okay? The deadline for the paper is March 14th. Oh, sorry, it's actually March 16th. This is very important. The last correction will be the answer, okay? Pay attention to the signs, the signals, okay? Look at how important this is. In an academic discussion, listen for clue words. What kind of clue words? When the professor says, let's move on to a new section is coming, the answer might be there. According to the professor, it's usually an answer. It is important to note that the next part will be extremely important and the answer might be there. For example, examples always contain the answers. He will explain the idea and the answer will be there. Okay, so pay attention to these signal phrases. Listen carefully and attentively to the voice of the lecturer, the speaker, okay? Please pay attention. Listen carefully, okay? If it's louder or if it's softer, okay? Always, guys, now I'm going to ask you to listen to this carefully, okay? The prediction is the most important part of your listening. They will give you 1 minute for the prediction, okay? In each section. So take that minute and sink your teeth into it, okay? And ask the following questions. Is this answer a number? Is it a date? Is it a place? Is it a reason? What kind of word is missing? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? You can find the answer by making these predictions easily. And pay attention, this is very important. If you miss a question, move on quickly. It's normal to miss a question. Move on quickly. Don't panic. Move on as quickly as possible. And then you can go back and use logic to answer it. Okay? And that's how it is. Let's go to the next one. This is very important, what I'm going to say right now. Okay? The final tips for sections 3 and 4. Pay attention after prepositions. Be careful with the numbers and the dates. Listen for the louder words, the softer ones, the stressed ones, the ones that are shouting, the ones that are being emphasized. Expect the paraphrase. Never the same word. Pay attention to self-correction. The last number that will be the correct number or the word, whatever it is, always use prediction. It's this part is the most important. Use prediction. They are giving you 1 minute to use prediction. Okay? The academic strategies are very important, okay? For example, in section 4, okay? It's usually one person speaking, okay? It's very important to know this, okay? And this person is a professor, is an academic, is a lecturer, okay? And they will talk about some specific topics. Typical topics like psychology, sociology, technology, economics, biology, and history, okay? So you have to focus on the important facts, on the theories, or on the findings. You know, when they make the theories and then find in the research the answer. The answers are the findings. Okay, so a theory is a theory. The findings are the findings. And be ready for the definitions, for the examples, the conclusions, and the explanations. Okay, be ready. Remember an essay. An essay has an introduction, body one, body two, and a conclusion. Okay? And inside body one and body two, you're going to use the teal. They do too. They will also give examples. They will do exactly as we write in an essay. Okay? So you can generally and reasonably anticipate what kind of academic subject is being discussed based on the title. Okay? You can focus on the structure, the one I already mentioned, introduction of the topic. Then there will be supporting evidence, examples, and there will be a conclusion. Okay? It's very important to follow this. We are still talking about 3 and 4, sections 3 and 4. Okay? We have to focus on academic vocabulary because sections 3 and 4 are entirely academic. Okay? There are the research methods, which are survey. Okay, a hypothesis, some data, an analysis, a conclusion, a peer review. It's important to know what type of method. Later, I'll explain how to delve a little deeper into each of these throughout our classes. Okay, because if we know them, we can know the answer. In assignments, there are papers, essays, reports, drafts, feedbacks, and presentations. Okay. I'll also dive into that later. So, what comes up, what can definitely come up in these assignments as well. And in discussions too, where you'll find argument, opinion, viewpoint, evidence, conclusion. Pay attention to what kind of viewpoint, opinion, what kind of argument it is. Always pay attention to that, okay? Before listening, okay? Try to familiarize yourself with the academic vocabulary. It's very important, okay? Pay attention to academic paraphrasing, okay? For example, there's a question like, what are the benefits of group work? Then the answer, one of the positive aspects, okay? And so on and so forth, okay? Pay attention to the academic words. I already mentioned benefits, disadvantage, idea can be concepts, theories, and so on, okay? Now, it's very important to talk about the speaker when the speaker is talking. See, pay attention to the tone of voice, okay? If they emphasize some points, pay attention because if they raise their tone of voice, okay, it might be an indication of a question or an uncertain answer, okay? If their voice drops, it can be an indication of a conclusion or it's going to end right there, okay? It's a final answer. Pay attention to the tone. I'll repeat that, okay? Be aware of academic numbers and dates. Look how cool this is. Look how important this example here is. Later, I'll dive into this with you as well. The data was collected in, of course, it's a date, 2018, okay? It can be in. I don't think there's another way to say the year here, okay? And the sample size was, look at that. And the sample size, which is the sample they took for that research, 100 students. Look at that. So it's very good to pay attention to these academic numbers in the academic sequences. Pay attention to whether it's a research, a study, or a finding. Right? Look at this. The experiment was carried out over, then it's years, 2 years, from January 2019 to December 2020. From 2. We already know it's an academic date, guys. So we have to pay attention to this, which is paying attention to the academic vocabulary and the dates and statistics, the academic numbers, okay? Pay attention to the structures of that speaker, which is a monologue, okay? In section 4, there's always a structure. It has a structure, sorry, the one I already mentioned, the introduction, the bodies, and the conclusion, okay? So we have to pay attention to the introduction, to the body. Look, the introduction will give an overview of the topic. In the body, it will detail everything. It will have the tell, it will detail, it will give evidence with a lot of evidence, okay? And in the conclusion, of course, it will end. Pay attention to the structure and pay attention to the following phrases. First, C, we will take a closer look at this. To conclude, let's summarize what we have observed. These are important signals that the lecturer will give, right? The answer may come after these academic phrases. Understand the academic purposes of the conversation, okay? What kind of purpose is it? Explain a concept or idea. Is it a concept or an idea? Present a theory or research findings. Is it a research? Is it the finding of a research, or is it a theory? Compare the different viewpoints or the methods. Give examples. Case studies, those given examples and those case studies that they will give. That could be the answer. You can simply use prediction for this type of answer as well, especially when you are dealing with these kinds of questions, okay? Besides the speaker's intonation, besides the words, the statistics, all of them academic, okay? Don't forget to check the context, okay? The context within the academic terms, okay? Research findings, students' opinions or conclusions are important, okay? And a recommendation from an expert. A student's conclusion or opinion can be the answer. A research, a finding from a research can also be an answer. Or a recommendation from an expert, definitely, is an answer, okay? Always pay attention to the oriented language. These types, let's move on to. Now I will explain in conclusion. As an example, all of these are words, signs that the answer might come right after them. And finally, for sections 3 and 4, please pay close attention. Prepare the academic language, the specific terminologies, try to understand them. Listen to the academic purposes, try to understand them too. If it's a research, if it's a theory, if it's an example, okay? Note the prepositions, the paraphrases. Notice these prepositions and paraphrases. And pay attention to the dates, the numbers, and the self-corrections, the corrections, self-corrections, okay? They are always, you can, after these situations, the answer always comes, okay? So sections 3 and 4 become much more predictable when you listen with the strategy, not with desperation. Okay? Thank you very much for your attention, and I will see you in the next class. Before we finish, I still need to go over with you both the views and problem solutions, as well as direct questions. We will also cover task 1 for academic and task 1 for general training. So we have a long road ahead of us. Don't forget to give a like down below, please. Okay? See you in the next class. Thank you.